McCarthy Insurance Group, serving the community for over 70 years. For home, farm, motor, life, health and business insurance, log on to mig.ie or free phone 1800 50 11 11. Probably your best call in 2024. Charles McCarthy Insurance is trading as McCarthy Insurance Group, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Real people, real opinions, real talk radio. The multi-award-winning Niall Boylan Show.
Now, last night we asked the question, should RTÉ be allowed to introduce a compulsory fee to offset the 65 million a year loss? They're calling on the government, in case you didn't know, to bring in a broadcasting charge. This would replace the television licence, which they said less and less people are actually purchasing nowadays, because many people are claiming they don't have a television set. They watch it on their laptops or their iPads, and technically speaking, if you're watching your iPad and you're watching Netflix or whatever it is you're watching, or Sky, or on your iPad or laptop, you technically don't need a television license because you don't have a television. Now, I think the law dates back a long, long time, that if you don't have a television but you have a physical radio, you're meant to have a license. It's a separate license as far as I know, a wireless license. But anyway, if you have a TV, you're meant to buy a license. But more and more people don't have televisions. And I don't believe them, personally speaking. I believe most people do have televisions, but they just tell the license inspector they don't have televisions. Because you remember years ago, they had the license inspector van is in your area, and they had a van going down the road with like a satellite dish on the top of it. That was nonsense. You do know that was nonsense. They could never find a television in your house. That was just to make people, give up and say, oh, I have a telly, I swear. Don't look in my window. They actually did. They used to look in people's windows and all sorts of things. But anyway, the point is, RTÉ are losing money because they can't sustain it. Currently, they're losing millions. The government are funding them, as well as the television licence and as well as the advertising they're getting. They're being propped up by the state because they can't produce this type of television programmes that they want to produce without spending money. And there's two ways of looking at this. They've taken away your freedom to choose. Your freedom to choose what you watch and what you pay for. You pay for Netflix, so you choose to watch it. You don't pay for it, you don't get to watch it. The same goes for Disney Plus, the same goes for Amazon Prime, the same goes for Sky TV, and all those other ones. You pay, you get to watch. You don't pay, you don't get to watch. The argument for RTÉ is it's public service broadcasting. Like the BBC, the difference is the BBC don't advertise because they've got a bigger population to collect money from. But if we don't pay for RTÉ, RTÉ just becomes an independent television station, which survives solely on your advertising. And that means they would have to reduce the coverage of live sporting events because they certainly couldn't afford to do it, unless they got some massive sponsorship for it. They would have to reduce things like prime time, which costs a lot of money to make because it's investigative journalism. People have to be paid, and camera crews and all that sort of thing. Homegrown programs, all that kind of stuff would have to be reduced down to what they take in advertising revenue to cover the cost. The good thing is the wages would have to go down because, as we all know, many of the talent in RTÉ are overpaid and probably get paid too much for what they actually do. But hold on, that's a whole other argument. So the question is, should you have to pay for it? Now, I'm going to ask two questions. The other one in a few minutes will be about the Angelus because people were complaining they got rid of it the other night for the Joe Biden coverage. And some people are saying, well, it's about time they did get rid of it. The old Angelus, remember the Angelus? People used to stand there. My mother used to always, quiet in the house now, please. Everybody quiet in the house. And my mother would stare up at the ceiling, and then she'd bless herself, and we'd be all looking around going, what are we supposed to do? My father would be giving out shite because my father was he was a devout Catholic, and all that kind of stuff. So it sounds good, doesn't it? The Angelus. Bong. I don't know, by the way, somebody can tell me by the text or WhatsApp which church that was. Somebody mentioned it before on the air, what church was actually those bells. I think it's the Pro Cathedral, isn't it? Anyway, should the Angelus be gone? And are you happy to pay for RTÉ? I mean, are you getting value for money for RTÉ? Now, I know this is a difficult one for us to do on the air because 97% of people in a Twitter poll out of 3,500 yesterday said they wouldn't pay it if they didn't have to. That's a lot of people. So the question is, do you believe we should have to pay for it? Is it value for money? The number is 087 188 0008. So to start us, get the ball rolling, my good friend James. James.
Good evening, Niall.
James, I actually, and I'm going to be truthful to my audience. I said to Jane, my producer, you better get James on because nobody else is going to come on and say this. You better get James.
I said that to Amanda earlier on, actually, when she rang me. I said, back in the day when Ruth was there and Helena and Aisling, that's where they would go to get someone to defend RT. We'd have to ring James because no one else will come on.
No one else will come on to defend RTE. So away you go, James. Give me a good argument.
You would have no problem to find people to criticise RT now. As you know, you could fill up the whole programme with people like that. But yes, I have a certain loyalty to RT now, and I explained that to Amanda earlier on. That you see, I grew up with it now in the early 60s.
As I did.
When it came along in 1960, 61, and of course we had nothing else, and so delighted to get it now. The excitement in my house when we got it first, my God, we went crazy now, even though it was only black and white and an old Bush television.
I remember the Bush and the Grundig and the Ferguson. Do you remember those? A pie.
And my father trying to get with his rabbit's ears over moving around the sitting room trying to get a picture.
Or a coat hanger and a bit of wire. The best one was during the summer. I don't know what this is about, right? But during the summer, the channels used to roll. Do you remember the screen would roll? And my father would be over banging the side of the television, tuning it. Is it stopped rolling yet? And he'd be at the back of the telly fiddling with these buttons, and we'd be telling him, no, it's still rolling.
Yeah, that was my father too, yeah.
And then you'd knock it off at the end of the night, and the screen would disappear into a little white dot in the middle.
Yes. Come on about 5 o'clock and over about 11.
Yeah.
And we had all my God, when I saw things like the Virginian, the excitement about watching the Virginian. And we'll say, when Kojak came on later on, fear, of course, we had nothing else to see now. We didn't have and I never thought I'd see the day, even when it came, that I'd be movies in my own front room. The only place we get them was go to the movies on a Saturday. But
Well, look, enough of the nostalgia, James. We've moved on. Technology has moved on. We now have. I mean, in your day, it was 5 to 11 o'clock. In my day, it was about midday to 11 o'clock at night, and then we'd see the sea rolling in and the national anthem would play, and that'd be the end of it. Okay, but now I suppose we have all this wonderful technology, and we have so much choice. We have hundreds and hundreds of channels. Mind you, they're all showing an awful lot of crap, but there's hundreds of channels, and we can subscribe to all sorts of different things and get things that we choose to watch.
Yes.
So,
but I'd say, Niall, if you're looking for statistics, I'm only guessing now, the majority of people who probably watch RT would be, my vintage and a bit younger. I wouldn't say young people watch RT much now. See, as you know, even I know that the young don't watch regular television anymore now.
No, they're watching Netflix and all sorts of things,
They're just streaming and all these things that I wouldn't know anything about now. And so, you won't watch any young people sitting down watching the 6-1 news now for a whole hour. No. That won't happen. The people
well, then here's the question,
news
James. If I'm in a young couple, if we're a young couple and we're 27 years of age and we've 2 children or whatever it is, right? And we're not watching RTE, as you rightly said, a lot of young people don't watch RTE, maybe the odd program every now and again. Should they have to pay for it?
Well, the only thing is, when I say that, more people watch RT than they will admit to now. Like a lot of people say, I never watch it, not one. But still, you have big numbers for the toy program. There was fairly large numbers, I imagine, for Joe Biden. I can assure you I wasn't watching much Joe Biden, as you can imagine now. It was Donald Trump now I'd be watching.
Yeah, I'm sure you
would. Also, of course, in fairness to RT, they do give a lot of sports coverage, which...
Oh, they do. They do.
And particularly, which I love, of course, is the GAA. I love all sports now, but I love the GAA in particular, hurling, the Gaelic football. It's getting underway now, as you know now. The season is getting underway. It gets underway earlier now than it did before. And all of that will be covered.
The Irish language. The Irish language is important.
Yes, I have a great love of the Irish language now, as you know, and that's why I would be a big looker.
But these are the biggest loss makers for RTE. The biggest loss makers would be Radio na Gaeltacht, Lyric FM, TG Cahir. they would be the ones losing the most amount of money. And I'm not having a go at Irish speakers, but I'm just saying, obviously, they're for a minority because most people don't watch television in Irish or listen
But
to
we
radio in
also
Irish.
must remember, Niall, that it's very, very, very rarely for a semi-state body to make money now. Everybody in the country has to pay for Ian Road Éireann, bus Éireann, even though you probably never travel on a bus now.
But they're not losing 65 million a year. I mean,
but it has to get amount. It has to get that much every year in subventions now and more. Oh yes, they has to. And most of your listeners probably drive cars. They don't use the bus. And but also, when you don't have a national broadcaster, what's going to happen when the Taoiseach wants to address the nation, or our president, Michael D. Higgins? Is he going to have to ring Sky or BBC to come over and bring in the cameras? So how is he going to address the nation now? Using the BBC in England? Banana Republic?
No, I'm sure independent television, I mean, if RTÉ was like Virgin Media 1 or TV3 as it used to be known, it would be independent television. And I mean, TV3, which is the worst rebranding ever, people still call it TV3. Virgin Media 1, I mean, they do show an awful lot of stuff. They do a lot of live coverage. They do some stuff, the stuff they can afford to do, I suppose.
But they don't have the expenses RTÉ has.
No.
You were even saying last night, RTÉ has correspondents all over the country now.
All over the world. All over the world.
Yes, we've a southern correspondent, we've western correspondents, we've numerous correspondents in Dublin covering the criminal trials like Jerry Hodge. They're political correspondents in RT, health correspondents. So there's a huge amount of correspondence which other stations won't provide.
Yeah, but I could equally say if it was for radio, for example, News Talk could probably be covering that. Frank Graney for News Talk will be covering. He's the court correspondent. Will be covering the Hutch trial. So I mean. Look, we don't do that. We don't provide that type of service. But
that's a different.
Yeah, and it's expensive to provide that type of service. So in saying that, I mean, and they would be from a bigger radio group. So, but what I'm saying is there will be others that will take the opportunity to provide what RTÉ is not providing if they can't afford to do it anymore.
But there's one other important point for me that they provide now, and a lot of elderly people. They provide religious service. Catholic services, Mass and Sunday. There's a huge coverage now for Holy Week now. Liturgies and Good Friday, Easter Saturday night, all of that for the elderly. Now, it's very important for the elderly who are in nursing homes now. They love that.
Okay, well, do me a favour. Stay there for a second, James, because I want to bring in Councillor Jackie Healy-Rae as well, who joins us. Good afternoon.
Oh, my God.
Jackie.
Hi, Niall, and to all your listeners.
Now, this argument that was brought up last month, I think it was brought up in the Oireachtas, that they want to bring in a broadcasting charge that everybody will have to pay. It's essentially a tax, I suppose, for every household. Is it a good idea?
I don't believe it is, Niall. And I mean, at the outset, I do want to say that I do believe that a level of public broadcasting is important. Your last caller there spoke of elderly people in nursing homes for religious services and things like that. I believe that is important. I believe that there is a valuable service in that is probably delivered at a relatively low cost. But I think where RTÉ are going wrong is where they think that the Irish taxpayer should have more taxes imposed on them to effectively bail them out because of their inability to manage their own finances.
Yeah, but if they don't do that, if we don't bail them out, they're not going to be able to provide that sports coverage or those mass services or prime time or those expensive programs. They're not going to be able to do that.
Well, my answer to that is they'll have to cut their cloth to suit their measure. There is plenty things that they can do and a level that they can maintain with the amount of money that they're receiving. Yes, of course, certain things will have to go. There's very valuable things that I think are on RTÉ, such as the sports coverage, such as a number of the prime time programs. But to be honest with you, and to be frank about it, there's a lot of nonsense on it too.
I would agree with that. Yes, I would agree with that.
And there's a lot of stuff that they could cut out, and there's a lot of stuff that could be cut, and they're very top heavy when it comes to a lot of the salaries that they're paying, and that's all being done at the expense of the taxpayer.
Well, see, their argument is in relation to the salaries, and I agree with you on the salaries because obviously in independent radio I don't get anywhere close to the salaries they get in RTÉ. But in saying that, their argument will be they have to pay the big money to keep the talent, to keep them going to news, stop them going to News Talk, to stop them going to Today FM, to stop them going to Ireland's Classic Hits or whatever it is, that they have to pay the money to get the talent. That's what they'll argue.
And what's wrong with getting new talent?
Well,
At an affordable rate, at an affordable rate, at people and people who are there's plenty of people out there, Niall, that I'm sure that would be absolutely chomping at the bit to get opportunities that have been maybe sewn up in RTE for 20 or 30 years. And that
are you suggesting it's a cabal? Are you suggesting it's some sort of cabal or a boys club?
But you know yourself, Niall. At the end of the day, you have to ask yourself currently at what's happening. Are the taxpayer getting value for money for the public broadcasting? My answer to that would be I don't believe that they are.
James, who is a pensioner, but James told me this before, and I'm sure you won't mind me mentioning it. He's actually a pensioner, so he gets the license for free. But even though he gets it for free, he goes and pays for it anyway because he thinks it's such good value for money.
That's true now.
Look, again. And again, I suppose it depends on what you're into too, Niall. And don't get me wrong, I've plenty relatives and who be a bit more on the elderly side, who are absolutely tuned into RTE every evening of the week, and they'd swear by it. And absolutely, when it had come to the likes of the religious services for watching the free-to-air games and everything, but we have to remember too, there was a time when RTE showed every GA game known to man, and unfortunately that isn't even the case anymore, because we've seen, even though it is coming to an end, we see that Sky had a number of games over the last number of years, which actually debarred an awful lot of people who would be watching every game every Saturday or Sunday, being absolutely frozen out from seeing those games.
Well, then what about the biggest loss makers in RTE, apart from the salaries? One of the biggest loss makers, and the one thing that consumes the money, is the likes of TG Cahir, Lyric FM, Radio na Gaeltacht. So these, I'm not saying they're not important. They are important. But in saying that, they're for a small amount of people. So they don't make money. And they lose money. Well, is it? Do we still, if RTE don't get that license fee or don't get that broadcasting charge, these are all at risk?
Well, I have to be honest with you. And when I said at the outset that a number of our public broadcasting is what I'd consider valuable, TG Cahir is one of the things that I would actually consider extremely valuable.
Well, it's not. Well, from a financial point of view, it's not valuable because it's not making any money.
I understand, but to be honest, if you ask me, when it comes to the likes of showing of sports and sports games at a lot of at both club level, at senior level, be it the league games, club games, I describe their sports coverage as almost second to none compared to what you'd see on the other RTE channels, because they show a lot of both codes, both ladies and females GA.
But shame on me, Jackie. I have never even watched TG Cahir. I don't think I've ever witnessed the channel once in my life. Ever.
Well, I have to be honest with you, in being balanced in the argument, I have to say, and I think a lot of people who would tune into the sports coverage on it would agree that their sports coverage is extremely good.
Well, I'm hearing a little bit of hypocrisy. Sorry, James, for keeping you. And Jared, no, let me finish. I'm hearing you support RTE and saying all this is important, the sports coverage is important, the Irish language is important, it's important for the elderly, it's important for all those things, but yet you're saying we don't want a broadcasting charge, and RTE have clearly said, Mr. Coveney has clearly said that they cannot survive without bringing in a broadcasting charge because less and less people are paying the television license.
Yes, but there's a reason. Again, there's a reason as why a lot of people are not paying their license fee, is because again they feel they're not getting value for money.
They don't have a telly.
Well, correct. And this thing of people having to pay a broadcasting charge or a TV license for not actually having the facility is absolutely outrageous. But like, again, it comes back to what I'm saying what I said at the beginning. They have to cut their cloth to suit their measure. They have to live within their means. And if that means that a level of the service will have to be reduced, then so be it. Or else find revenue from additional advertising that they can supplement their income themselves. But it shouldn't be a case that there's further taxes imposed on people that are already, if you ask me, between between the suggestion, even though it was ruled out today, about congestion charges and every sort of charge going.
Well, I was going to ask you about the congestion charges, by the way. Not that it'll affect Kerry too much, but it'll certainly affect the cities.
Absolutely, but like that, we'd have additional taxes imposed on people for perhaps perhaps broadcasting that they won't even watch, because as you know yourself, there's every sort of a streaming service known to man available now from all the different companies and streaming platforms.
Oh, you'd want a big wallet, all right, wouldn't you, to watch them all?
Exactly.
Okay, well, hang on, James, you listen to what Councillor Jackie Healy-Rae has said, that although we shouldn't have a broadcasting charge, we should insist people obviously pay a television licence if they have a telly, but RTÉ are going to have to cut their cloth.
Oh yes, I mean that's one point I would agree with the councillor, that you can always do better, Niall. You can always use your money better than you did before, and every company, sometimes even companies, have to trim back sometimes, Niall. And
should we trim back the Angelus, by the way, while we're at it?
No, definitely not.
No. That's a whole other argument, isn't it?
Not even for Joe Biden.
Well, we did get rid of it for Joe Biden the other night. Sorry, well, just stay there, both of you, before I go to the break, because Jared, you're waiting ages there. Sorry, Jared, you're in Ireland's Classic Hits Radio. How you doing, Jared?
How are you getting on, Niall?
Yeah, and before you ask, no, I'm not taking over from Ryan Tubridy on the Late Late Show, but I'd like to.
All right. Oh, wonderful.
Could you imagine me on the Late Late Show? The audience would be all having heart attacks.
I love it. I love that. I think it's what the nation needs to hear.
I think so, yeah.
I think it is. I think it is.
I'd be up there going, climate change me whole. Anyway.
Yeah, fuck it.
Sorry.
Get with the time, people. It doesn't exist.
Sorry, Jared. Anyway, go ahead. Should we have to pay a broadcast charge?
Well, I have 2 properties and I've never paid a TV license.
You've never paid it?
Never paid it.
And has the man not come looking in your window yet? No. No. So well, then you mustn't be registered. Your address or your name mustn't be registered if they haven't called you.
I've got the odd letter every now and again. I just ignored it.
Right. Okay. And no one's ever forwarded, and you've never got a fine or.
No, never.
Yeah, well, I know I didn't pay it for a while, and I did get not a fine, but I got a letter demanding that I pay it or I get a fine, so I did pay it.
Yeah, I got them letters, but I never actually paid it. No one ever came knocking the door. I don't watch RT.
Jackie, do you pay your television license? Just curious.
I do. Yeah, I know. It's only.
And do you watch it, Jackie?
Again, but the majority of the stuff that I'd watch on it would be the sports, the sports that would be on, and there'd be a certain level of the primetime programs, that I'd be interested in, and look, don't get me, a level of them are extremely good, and I do believe that a level of public broadcasting is needed, but I don't believe that again that the ordinary Joe Soap on the ground should have to have additional taxes imposed on them just simply because that RTÉ are living far beyond their means. Because that's what's happening.
Yeah.
Sorry, lads, we have to pause for the Angelus. Sorry, James. I'm not being disrespectful, James. I promise you, I'm not. I'm not being disrespectful.
Oh, no.
By the way, Jackie, just before you go, Jackie, should we get rid of the Angelus?
I don't believe so, and I'll tell you why. Because we are predominantly a Catholic country, whether people like that or not, Niall, that is a fact. We have certain, what I call traditions and cultures that we have in this country that I have seen trying to be diminished and done away with the last number of years in particular. I remember travelling to a country one time, and I was inside in the airport, of all places, and I was dozing on a chair while I was waiting for a transfer of a flight, and next thing, this call to prayer started happening. And it woke every man and woman and child up in the airport.
Oh, this is the Muslim call to prayer. Yeah.
Yes, but did I dare go complaining about what was going on in that country or in that region that I was in? Absolutely not. That's their traditional values. That's what they hold dear to themselves. There's an awful lot of people in this country that hold the Angelus dear to them. There's an awful lot of people in this country that hold their faith dear to them. And in a predominantly Catholic country, we shouldn't be having to set aside our traditions and values to, by the way, please other people. When the day comes, and maybe it will come, that where less than 50% of this population that we live in will call themselves not Catholic, then maybe we can talk about it. but we're a predominantly Catholic country that people, when they're filling up the likes of their census form, they put down that they're a Catholic. And as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't harm anybody to have a minute of twice a day to be playing the Angelus.
Okay. Well, look, I have to go to a break because we have to play a few ads here to make some money to stay alive.
No bother.
All right, so listen, James, Jared, thank you very much. And by the way, I think it'll be great. I'm voting for the Healy Rays to present the Late Late Show. I think it'll be a hell.
Oh God, we could alternate every week between us.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, lads, thank you very much indeed, and James as well. Keep texting, keep calling.
Smartphone App Store.
Ireland's Classic Hits Radio.
A lot of people saying I'm being disrespectful by playing the Angelus. RTÉ themselves have said it's not religious anymore. It's a moment of reflection. So let's all reflect. Fiona, you're on Ireland's Classic Hits Radio. How you doing, Fiona?
Hello, Niall, and I'm very thankful for God.
Oh,
I'm
delighted to hear that. Now,
and if you ask me to give up one more Irish thing, or Irish habit, or anything, I'm capable of jumping off a shanty.
So don't do that now. You wouldn't want to be doing that. You'd miss out on the Healy Rays taking over the Late Late Show. Can you imagine Michael, Danny and Jackie up there?
We took the Angelus off for Biden. Please. Where are we gone? A Catholic country.
Yeah, I know.
I won't even start. And getting back to RT, no. It's again, I don't even like paying my television license. Because I've been genuine to you. I'm here at home tonight, and who am I listening to?
Me.
And will I tell you where I'm listening to you on? My phone.
On your phone.
On my phone.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say my phone. Yeah.
So my television is an ornament for when the grandchildren come around.
Yeah, see, a lot of
and it's still not RT we're watching. And it's still not RT we're watching.
Yeah.
So I haven't watched RT since they scared the life out of us for COVID, because I just felt they went overboard.
So you didn't think they were balanced.
It was like,
okay.
Well, listen, let's be honest. If you suffer from a bit of anxiety or stress, and you were listening to that every day,
you think you were going to die, wouldn't you?
Absolutely. There was children running away from their grandchildren. It was ludicrous.
There was people hiding under their beds.
And the discrimination. Don't even get me started. But please do not take away the Angelus from us.
Okay.
And even what Mr. Healy Ray said, even if 50% of the population down the line, which is happening as we speak, are they not diluting our country as we speak?
Yeah. I mean, diluting our culture. Is
you
that what's there? Our identity.
So,
yeah.
Give me 12 months and there is going to be less than 50% Catholics in our country.
Okay, here's the question.
This is a point I want to put out to Mr. Healy Ray if he's still listening.
I'm sure he is.
So even if there's 20% of us, may God forgive you for even trying to justify taking away the Irish right.
No, Healy Ray said he wouldn't.
There's only one Irish person.
Well, hang on, Mr. Healy Ray said he wouldn't get rid of the Angelus. He wants to keep it.
He did say he wouldn't give away the Angelus, but down the line he might talk about it. When 50% of them.
No, you're dealing with the Healy Rays here. That's never going to happen.
As we're speaking.
Okay.
There's 50% more population.
Okay, here's a question for you. Here's a question before I go to Joanna, very quickly, right?
Okay.
You're the boss of RTE. The new boss was elected today. So because Dee Forbes is gone. So you're the boss of RTE. You can make 2 changes. What would they be? Very quickly.
2 changes. I'd whip somebody like you straight in who's not afraid to speak.
Thanks very much.
And that is the truth.
Okay.
And, oh, God, the second one there'd be a couple of people fired. So, I'd be like Trump. I'd go in there, fired a whole lot of them.
You're fired. Stay there. Well, stay there. Let me go to Joanna. Well, hang on. Let me go to Joanna as well. I've only got 4 minutes. I'll get to Martin as well. Sorry, Joanna, hi.
All right.
She's mad as a brush. Go on. Go on,
Me
Joanna.
or her?
No, her. Angie, you're mad as a brush. You're both mad. Go on, Joanna.
Yeah, okay. Now, I'd say a bit more music on it, and I think you would definitely make a good host. A church host, sorry.
A bit more music on what?
Just a bit more Irish music and all that. Because, I mean...
What, Diddley Idol type music?
No. Just country. I love country music, but I don't mean I'm talking about like the likes of Bruce Springsteen and all that.
Well, he's not really country. He's rock, isn't he? Yeah.
Well, no, come on. You could do better. I mean, he said, you're going to shit me for this, but I like Ryan. I do.
You like
Ryan? Like him.
Yeah, I know. He's a nice guy. Yeah.
I do like him.
Yeah.
But I think you would do a good host, actually. I think you would.
Yeah.
Because you've a bit more. You're a bit more balls.
Yeah. I think maybe Ryan would be a bit more ballsy if he was allowed to be. Maybe I don't know. Maybe he would be.
Well, you're not allowed to say certain things, but you say it in a different way.
Well, yeah, I suppose you have me sussed out there, haven't you?
Tonight, so no, but come on, you say things that shouldn't really be said, but you say it in a roundabout way.
Oh, right, okay. Are you me boss?
No, if I was, I'd be like, you're gonna get me in trouble.
I've heard that line before. We'll stay there for a second because I'm going to go to Martin as well. Martin, you're in Ireland's Classic Hits Radio. How you doing, Martin?
Good evening, Niall. I know you're under time constraints, so
2.5
I'll just say very quickly.
Go ahead.
Okay, very quickly. There was a time when RTE was value for money. I genuinely do not have a television because I think all television is garbage.
A lot of it is, yeah.
If you think back, and I know you'll remember it certainly because we had a conversation about it before, the likes of Hall's Pictorial Weekly,
oh, yes.
7 Days, Today Tonight, Strumpet City. Now what do you get? You get hour after hour after hour of so-called reality TV. It's garbage. It's chewing gum for the eyes. It doesn't work. But on the subject of who should take over the Late Late Show, I would like to see you or someone in your vein. If not that, give it to Dustin. Then we can have 3 turkeys in a row. It's just there is no way. If I don't have a TV, I should not be required to pay anything towards funding RTE. Why should I? I don't look at it.
By the way, I completely agree with you, but just to put my impartial hat on me, it is important now that many countries in the world have abandoned the television license, by the way, and they basically sink or swim, right? But it is important, particularly with a small population of 5 million people, that we fund a national broadcaster. The idea being that we get impartial news. Now, people are going to debate that and argue with that it's not impartial and that it is one-sided and it does have an agenda and it does have a narrative. And I'm not going to disagree with them. I think it does. But we're supposed to get impartial news. If we got impartial news, we got impartial documentaries, and we got quality television, I don't think people would mind as much.
Well, if we got all those things, I'd have a television. But we don't. So I don't have a television. But and just in passing, on the Angelus, I'm not a Catholic, but I'd be deeply offended at the idea of taking the Angelus off the television. It's part of what I grew up with. It's my culture. As I say, I'm not a Catholic, but this is the country I grew up in.
Yeah, but it's an advertisement. It's an advertisement for religion. It's a free advertisement on prime time television.
Look, if that's the way you want to view it, that's fair enough.
So let the church pay for it. I don't mind. Let them pay for it.
Look, but you see, it's not being done. It's not being done to cater to the church. I mean, I personally,
who is it being done for if it's not being done to cater for the church?
It's being done supposedly for the people who get some kind of comfort or relief or reflection or whatever else from it. Now, personally, it doesn't have any real effect on me, other than when people talk about banning it. It offends me because every day people wake up in this country and the first thing they think of when they wake up in the morning is, oh, what can I be offended about today? Because they're they're offended professionally. That's what they do. They take offense at everything.
The only reason I get pissed off about it is because RT claim they're losing money. That's prime time advertising. It's 1 minute of prime time advertising. I mean, they're 2 30-second ads, probably worth about $4 or $5 grand each.
Okay, $4 or $5 grand each.
Maybe I don't know. I don't know what the rate card is.
I don't know, but what do they spend on wine and biscuits and cheese and whatever else for the late show in a year? I don't know. I'm not really. I don't have that much of an interest in it to really worry about it.
Can I just let you all in and trade secret? You don't get wine and biscuits. Well, they do give away. They have wine up in the green room, right? But they actually give
but that's what I'm talking about. I'm not
bars
talking
of
about
chocolate and bananas is what I got.
Well, I don't. I'm in the green room.
Yeah, when you get your own dressing room, because I've been on RTE a few times in different programs, and you get your own dressing room, and they have a bowl with bananas, oranges, apples, and 2 bars of Dairy Milk chocolate and 2 tins of Coke.
And so I haven't watched the Late Late Show. I don't know when the last time I saw it was before Pat Kenny ever took it over. But are you telling me that if some major star or whatever else arrives and they're in the green room of the Late Late Show, that they're presented with bananas and chocolate. I very much doubt it.
Well,
I doubt it. Not unless it's McGilla Gorilla. That's not going to happen. It really isn't.
Well, maybe the big celebs get bigger dressing rooms with nicer stuff in it.
You can be absolutely assured they do. And so my TV license for a year, if I was to pay it, is going to pay for one sitting of an expensive bottle of wine and whatever else goes along with it. And, no, I'm sorry. If RTE was fit for purpose, which it's not, and you're absolutely right, it's basically RTE has just become an extension of a government press office.
Classic Hits Radio.
Oh, so many people very unhappy. Very unhappy that they might even think about getting rid of the Angelus. By the way, nobody has suggested they're getting rid of the Angelus. Just people have asked, is it going to go? Because it's a bit outdated and the whole concept of it is a bit outdated. Like if the Church of Scientology wanted to put on an ad, at 5:55 just before prime time, the news, they'd be charged quite a substantial amount of money, I imagine, to put an advertisement on for the Church of Scientology. And realistically, it's no different to Catholicism or Presbyterianism or Judaism or Islam, or it's a religion. I know people might say, oh, but they're a bit bonkers. They believe in people from space. Well, I mean, realistically, they may believe in people from space, but you believe in a man in the sky. I mean, there's not a lot of difference, really, is there? I mean, they're all religions. Anyway, a bit later on, by the way, we will be talking about cults, which will be a very interesting conversation. And people kind of get mixed up when we talk about cults. Cults can be religions, of course, obviously they can. But not only religions, a cult can be a following of an ideology. Like, for example, I would suggest that people who kneel on snooker tables pouring orange paint all over the place are extremists when it comes to climate policy. And that's a cult. That has become a cult. I think, for example, during COVID-19, those who got, hid under the bed with 10 masks on their face, unless they had a serious illness and they were very concerned, that creates anxiety in them. That becomes a cult too. There was almost a following of doom and gloom. That was a bit cultish by times. So cults can take many different forms. It's believing something that you're told from a higher power. That higher power could be a government too, by the way. Anyway, getting back to what we're talking about, RTE. Let me go to Maureen. Maureen, you're on Ireland's Classic Hits Radio. How you doing, Maureen?
Hi, Niall. How are you?
Oh, Maureen, are you on to give out to me?
No.
Well, okay.
I never give out. I never give out to Niall.
Well, okay. But even if I play the Angelus, you won't give out to me?
No.
All right, okay. So, Maureen, do you think we should get rid of the Angelus?
No.
Why?
Certainly not. Because I love the bells.
When you
Thanks,
hear it?
Niall. I love the bells. I love the bells, yeah.
Do you stop when you hear it?
Yes, and say the Angelus.
But do they still do it twice a day on radio? They do. 12 o'clock on radio, isn't it? And 6 o'clock on Radio 1.
Well, you see, I don't know. I don't listen to Radio 1.
Oh, okay. Because I think they do it at 12 and 6 on Radio 1.
And the Catholic Church bells do it at 12 and 6. They should be 6 a.m., 12 and 6, but the Catholic Church bells do it 12 and 6. Yeah.
And are they the bells of the Pro Cathedral?
No, well, I'm in West Cork. All Catholic churches do it.
No, I'm talking about the ones we hear on the telly.
I don't know where those bells are from. They sound like it.
Right, okay. And by the way, I'm sorry to have to ask this, but do you know the Angelus?
I do.
Oh, okay.
And you see, the Angelus, Niall, is actually dedicated to Our Lady.
Right, okay.
Because it's a story of the Annunciation.
Is it long?
And the Angelus is the prayer of the Annunciation when the angel Gabriel came to Our Lady.
And is it long?
To give her the message. No, it's not long at all, no.
Okay, so can you recite it for me, for people who don't know?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
It's the angel of the Lord declared unto Mary, and she conceived by the Holy Ghost. And then there's the Hail Mary. And then it's, Behold the handmaid of the Lord, be it done to me according to thy word. Yeah. Then you bring in the Hail Mary, and the word was made flesh and dwelt amongst us. And then the Hail Mary again.
Okay. So it's kind of almost like a decade of the Rosary, isn't it? Yeah.
And then it's let us pray. For forth we beseech you, O Lord, thy grace into our hearts, that we to commend, for forth we beseech you, O Lord, that we hear something into our hearts. I'm forgetting now. I know
okay,
in my head, but
that's okay. You've staged.
But I know the answer.
I know you've staged fright. It's okay.
I'll say it. Yeah.
So
I'll always say it.
Do you think it's important?
It is very important, and it's important for Catholics. And I think that the problem is that Catholics mostly see we're being denied everything. They're trying to take everything that represents Catholicism.
But is that not just
in this country.
because? Is that not just because? It's not that you're denied everything. Is that not
Yes,
just because
it
religion?
is.
But religion is less popular now. When you look at young people growing up now, they're not interested in religion. Most of them anymore. They don't believe in.
Oh
Most of them
no!
don't believe
Well,
in
most
God.
of them may not. Most of them may not, but some still are. But it is not the point. It's part of our culture, Niall. Since this country began, since it was Christianized, it's been part of our culture. It's actually part of our heritage. Why do they want to remove it? I mean, if loudspeakers are playing in every town and Muslim call to prayer was being blasted out, who would complain about it?
Would you care if RTE said, right, we want to be impartial, we're going to play the Muslim call to prayer? Would you be upset by that?
I would, yes, actually.
As well as the Angelus. We'll do the Angelus as well.
No, I would be upset with the Muslim call to prayer, yes, because it's happening in England already. There are Catholic churches in parts of London have been taken over by Muslims. Sadiq Khan has ordered that the loudspeakers are actually to be louder to play the call to prayer.
That's
so
right.
that'll deafen you.
Well, they did it.
We're not a Muslim country.
They did it in New York and Times Square as well, didn't
Yeah.
they? Yeah. But just for those.
So
who,
I think
okay,
just
to be
leave
fair,
us Catholics with something.
Okay, just to be fair, because people might not know what the Muslim call to prayer is.
Yeah, I know it. Heard it.
It's kind of eerie, isn't it?
Yeah, I've heard it. It's terrible.
Well, no, they might think the Angelus is terrible. You know what I mean?
I'm
sure Muslims don't.
They may, but as far as I'm concerned, and I keep on saying it, it's part of our culture and our heritage. A Muslim call to prayer is not.
Yeah.
So I think they should leave the Angelus alone and leave us Catholics have our Angelus.
Yeah. At least you can kind of sing along to that one, can't you? You know what I mean?
And I mean, it's nice, and even for people who are not Catholic and people who are even atheists, I've often heard them saying, if you're in discussion with people, some people just do. Even when they hear a bell ringing, they just take a bit of time and they might stop what they're doing and maybe just think of something.
Okay, stay there for a second. Let me just go to Kathleen as well. Kathleen, you're on Ireland's Classic Hits Radio. How you doing, Kathleen?
Hello, now.
How are you doing? Kathleen, is it time? Have we got to that point yet? Forget about RTE, but are we at the point where we should get rid of the Angelus? Is it a bit outdated?
No, I think it's lovely now.
Do you?
I think it's lovely, I do.
And would you be a Catholic yourself?
I'm not a practicing Catholic.
Okay.
I used to be, but not anymore.
Okay.
I pray in the house, but my friend told me that the Angelus was something to do with the famine years. I don't know.
Probably,
Is it like a death bell or something,
Oh, right, okay. That's a bit
and
morbid.
only, but my friend, she's from Dublin, and she told me that's what, when the bodies were, I don't know, when people were dying or something,
Jeepers.
So, but I do say the Hail Mary. I don't know the whole, like the other lady you just had on, I don't know the whole prayer for it, But
I think, in fairness to Maureen, I think she does know the whole prayer. She just got a bit of stage fright.
She does. She does know it, yeah. I only know the Hail Mary, that's all. But I'm not practicing Catholic anymore because I've got sickened with the, I know we're not talking about it, but it just sickened me what I heard.
Well, I suppose the argument, here's the argument, like it or lump it, Ireland is becoming a more diverse country with more diverse people, lots more Muslims, lot different religions, Hindu, all sorts of. So if we're going to play the Angelus, why not play all the other religious songs as well?
I think the other one's a bit morbid, but Muslims who actually believe in the Mother, the Holy Mother.
That's right.
They do actually believe in Our Lady. They do.
Okay.
But I just think it'd be a little bit too morbid,
Right. Okay. You think that?
I think it's just part of our culture. I class myself. I'm here a long time now, but I class myself as thinking about the culture of Ireland. We spoke. I know we're not talking about it now, but we spoke about things that changed over the years. Sunday for families, and you close the pubs on Good Friday, and it's getting taken away. The identity is going. in my opinion.
And
anyway.
I would agree with you. I do, and I've said it many times. Although people argue with me and say, well, the identity is not disappearing; it's just changing. It's becoming more modern, and because we have to be fair. Although both of you are religious, although Kathleen, you said you're not a practicing Catholic anymore, although Maureen is, without a shadow of a doubt. We got to look at the population, and realistically, when we even look at the last census, the amount of Catholics or practicing Catholics in Ireland has plummeted, because young people have all this information, and they don't. But a lot of them don't believe in God. They believe. In evolution and science and all different things, and they don't believe God is responsible for all the things that they claimed that he was responsible for many years ago, he or she, whatever it is. So they don't believe in that. But older people do, and I respect that as well.
Yeah. I just think it's nice time to reflect, even if you don't pray. And I think the one they have on the weekend, the scenery is just beautiful. They put it there and you see all the lovely waterfalls and, just gorgeous, it's lovely to look at,
Okay, well, hold on, because... well, hang on a second. Let me just bring John in on this as well. John, you're in Ireland's Classic Hits Radio. How you doing, John?
Niall, how are you? We
Good.
spoke last night about this, about the fee, and now about the Angelus thing. Do you know, it's strange, because Amanda called me earlier on, and I don't really watch it. Like, I don't watch television much. I watch something on my phone, right? But, like, she called me earlier on, and I was like, it's a bit old school. Like, I kind of thought, like, yeah, no, I wouldn't really care if it was gone. And then I said to her, I'm going to collect my son. He's 13. And he got in the car and I said it to him, and he instantly went, what? You don't get rid of that. You wouldn't get rid of that. Why would you get rid of that? And I said, but tell me why you keep Adam, because I don't see you watching the,
Yeah.
But he said it's part of heritage, like, but
our identity.
Yeah. It's just, and I thought about it, and I said, you know what, Adam, you're right. And
isn't he a very intelligent 13-year-old to come out with something like that?
Oh, he is. Jesus, I'm over the moon. I mean, he's absolutely, he is. But like, what surprised me was, Niall, is that he's like the young, even. I'm surprised he even knew what it was.
So he's obviously, he's obviously seen it. Yeah, he's obviously seen the Angelus.
Yeah, but that kind of way, like, they're more interested in TikTok and Snapchat and on their phones.
Oh, right,
and
that's the kind of new religion, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, but just to go back to the point you made a minute ago, I have to disagree with you. Well, I know you just said it as if we're playing the Angelus, why don't we play anything else? Like that just no way. Because
well, the only reason I'm saying it is, whether you like it or not, 20% roughly of the population are not Indigenous Irish. And many of those would be different religions, and even some Irish people would be different religions too. They would be Muslim, Hindu. There's very few Jewish people in Ireland, but in saying that, there's many different religions. So why promote one?
This country would just I kind of feel like just we're a bit too easily coerced into doing what everyone in the whole world wants to do in Ireland. It's kind of like, go to Ireland if you want to change it, get it your own way. It's an Irish thing.
Yeah.
Like,
I understand. Yeah,
it is. It's an Irish thing. Like, you wouldn't go and move to Australia and expect them to put the Angelus on Australia, that kind of way.
No, it wouldn't happen. Probably, yeah.
I don't think now, in hindsight, like, I was kind of thinking, I wouldn't care if it was gone, but now thinking about it, and I went to the shop. I was talking to a guy in the shop, and I just said it to him because I was listening to this on my phone.
So you're doing a bit of research for me, John, were you?
Exactly. And you know what he said to me? He made a point. He said to me, "But John, I remember," this is an older guy. He said, "John, I remember a couple of years ago," he said, "they tried to get rid of or maybe they did get rid of the manger in a hospital, in James's Hospital or something like that."
I think that was a story, all right, there going back about 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah, I remember that story.
Yeah, that's what he said, something like that. And he said, like, that's the kind of thing. He says, like, before, when you do that and you do now, you want to get rid of the Angelus, he says, what's the next step?
Yeah, I know. I understand. Maureen, I'm assuming you agree with all of that, Maureen.
I do, yeah. I know. I just remember the part that I got caught in, where she was called the stage fright and the Angelus, because I know the whole Angelus.
Right, okay.
Do you want me to finish it for you?
Yeah, go on, finish it for me, go on.
It's let us pray. Pour forth we beseech thee, O Lord, thy grace into our hearts, that we recommend the incarnation of Christ thy Son, was made known by the message of a virgin, of the angel Gabriel may by his passion and cross be brought to glory for his resurrection, to the same Christ our Lord, amen. And the Angelus it is dedicated to Our Lady because it has nothing to do with famine bells, it has nothing to do with anything else. It is the story of the Annunciation. The whole story of the Annunciation is in the Angelus. So I think, why can't we just have that 1 minute so that we can honour Our Lady for just that 1 minute, bless ourselves, say our Angelus, and that's it.
Amen.
No harm in that.
All right. Listen, on that note, thank you very much indeed, Maureen. You made a good argument. John, thank you for doing the research as well for me there in the shop and with your son and everybody else. And the overwhelming majority of people, for whatever reason, be it religious, identity, culture, whatever reason, they seem to want to keep it. I think it's fairly pointless. Well, maybe, I don't know. It's a minute, even if you're not religious, just to reflect. Because that's what they do in the Angelus. If you look at the little video they show, everybody kind of stops and looks at the sky or goes, wonder what I'll do today. You know what I mean? It's one of those kind of things. One of those, you could take a moment, and maybe there's no harm in the middle of the day just taking a moment to yourself. I'm sure we all do it. You do that, Jane, don't you? Every now and again, just stop and just go, I wonder what we'll do today.
Real people, real opinions, Real Talk Radio. The multi-award winning Niall Boylan Show.